Well, it's January 2017, and we got socked in pretty good by the snow up here in New England. And as I'm sitting here in the house, hoping for things to thaw, for the snow to start to melt, which it's just doing today, I thought I'd take a few minutes and just give you a recap from 2016, show a few of the spots and videos that I hadn't posted yet. So that's what we'll do, and we'll go back into the summer and go forward from there. In this first clip, we're walking one of the saltwater ponds that is tidal. We try to get out there on a falling tide, and as we're heading along the shoreline here, I see something in the water. You get a good look at it here. It's been in the water, exposed obviously for a while. You can see the seaweed that's actually started to grow on this point. Nice quartz point or knife. Wash it off, take another look at it. But that was interesting to see it with the seaweed growing on it. So we continued on down that shoreline, and as we got around the next bend, we came upon an area that we found before where some thick peat is eroding out in the sand from the bank, and we started to pick up some quartz tools, chunks, and flakes. It pretty soon became obvious we were looking at a little workshop that was eroding out. Almost one after another, we'd find another quartz piece, some of them bifacially worked, some of them edge worked, but just some chunks and pieces, and then a big quartzite core that had been broken open, knocked apart. And then after I'd picked up these quartz pieces, next few steps I found a quartzite hammerstone, really battered, well used, probably employed right here at this workshop. And so the next time we got out that summer, we went to one of our other saltwater pond sites, took our dog Sadie with us, and after we'd been hunting a while, my wife came upon something that was just barely showing there in the cobbles. It was a really good eye, so let's see what... She asked me to take it out. Look at that. What a beautiful little point. Just an edge showing, but that was a great, great piece. It's made out of what we call marblehead felsite, beautiful black material with white phenocrysts in it. And then as we headed on down the shoreline, heading back from that particular spot, up against the eroded bank, I spotted something lying up in there, and let's take a look. Yep, there's some interesting material anyhow. Yeah, I think that's a good piece. Tip's missing, but very interesting piece here, made out of a dark, fine-grained rhyolite, black material. Good piece, and as I was just standing up from there, looking down a little bit farther, there was some more evidence, and here we go again. Let's see what it is. Yep, nice edge tool. Again, that marblehead felsite. There was just a couple of feet away from that other piece, and as I looked down just after picking that up, found another piece. Interesting here. This is a piece of a cobble with the cortex still on it, worked on one edge, a real fine-grained, glassy rhyolite. Excellent scraper. The whole edge is worked. So that was a little something for our efforts. We got home, washed it up. You see some of the lithics that we picked up, the different kinds of materials, a close-up view of that scraper, that edge tool with the cobble cortex. Really like that tool. It makes a good hand hold. Another little flake edge tool made out of the marblehead felsite. That's a real nice material. very showy. Some of the best we have up here. And here's the piece that I picked up where the tip is broken. Not quite sure uh, if it's a late triangle or an early triangle. And then the piece my wife found. Really beautiful, beautiful little point. So that was another happy day. We're always happy when we get out, the sun's shining, the dog's happy, we're happy. So here we are on another late summer day, low tide. You can see the grass growing up in this area of exposed peat and sand. And the first thing we came across was a nice quartz triangular piece. One corner's broken off, but still a nice piece. And as I stepped over to the water to wash it off, I looked down, and there was a little oval quartz scraper. Picked that up, looked down right in the same spot, and there's a little quartz triangle point. One ear is broken, but everyone's a part of the story. Everyone tells us something. So those were some good finds. And as we continued on along, it's a long stretch of shoreline. Every now and then we come upon another piece. Here's a quartz knife laying in the gravel. Pick that up, put it in the bag. But you get a nice view of how this gravel gets exposed by the tidal action, the currents, the wind, the storms. And we moved on down another 20 or 30 yards, and it's more sand here, but a nice little strip of gravel. Spot something partly sticking out. Can't tell whether it's whole or broken, but, well, let's pull it out and see. Another nice triangle point, but, yep, got a missing corner. That happens many, many times, but it's a good piece. Again, that black felsite. And got home and, again, washed things up. You see the kind of different materials we pick up, the flakes and the chunks and the cores, but some really nice material all along this stretch. Here's the triangular quartz piece with the corner missing. That was the first piece we found that day. Then next to that is the little quartz triangular point that was found in the water right below that other piece when I was washing it up. And just a quick view of the other pieces we picked up. The quartz knife further down the shoreline, and the other triangular point. This is a very glassy material. It's not chert, probably a fine-grained volcanic rhyolite, but very glassy. They get almost chert-like sometimes. Now, on this next outing, we went back one afternoon to the same saltwater pond, but we went to the opposite shoreline. And when we returned, we just took a few minutes to spread out some of our finds on a log that was right next to the parking area. So you get an overview here. There were a number of nice tools, a good point, but we'll go through these and let you take a closer look at them. We'll start at the right-hand side. Here's a nice scraping tool made out of the felsite we find in the glacial drift. Another edge tool, again the marblehead felsite, which was one of their favorites. Here's a nice oval scraper, bifacially flaked. Another, what I like to call cobble scrapers, where they leave part of the cobble cortex, which makes an excellent grip for your handheld tools. A U-base, which was probably a preform that broke in manufacture, or perhaps when it was being used as perhaps as a handheld adze. Then this nice piece is a fairly long base of a parallel-sided point that looks most like what we call our eastern agate basins, which is a very early point dating to about 10,000 years before the present. And then this nice little point was also picked up. It's water-worn, but it's a nice material. It's a chert-like glassy material. It may be a highly silicified rhyolite, but it's quite a nice little piece. So there's an overview of that afternoon. Another good day to get out. And then uh, another week or so later, we came back to that same shoreline but headed in the other direction. Um, you can walk for quite a long time along these shoreline sites in both directions. And as we worked our way along, we started to pick up bits and pieces here and there. This is a nice parallel-sided point that has a broken tip. And we kept on searching the gravel. You can see a lot of gravel was exposed on this particular day. And then came across this piece, very nice piece. Again, the Marblehead fell site. You can see the big step fracture on the reverse side, but it's a nice, complete whole point or knife. Another good piece. And then we came back to that one area that has the black peat eroding, and these are some very old clamshells that were coming out of that peat. And so I took my time and went through it very carefully and found a couple of things. I almost always find something at this peat area, even if it's just a few flakes that have eroded out, but it indicates that it definitely was a habitation site. And saw this little corner sticking out, pulled the peat back, uh, gradually worked it out, and it's a nice tool made out of a very high quality quartz. You get a good look at that here. So when we got home, once again we laid out our finds from the day to show some of the lithic materials we picked up. A nice old piece of colonial bottle glass, and then the artifacts that we retrieved on that particular afternoon. We got a close-up view of this sort of parallel-sided point or knife that was broken either in use or manufacture. It's not easy to tell sometimes on these water-worn artifacts. Another good piece that you saw we pick up out of the gravel. There again is that step fracture on the reverse side. And then finally that nice quartz tool that was protruding out of the black peat when we got down to that area. So again, just an opportunity to get a closer look at these particular artifacts. And we cataloged them, put them away, and then had another opportunity to get out a little bit later. Near the black peat, but the water was very calm that day, so I spent some time with my boots on, going slowly along in the water, and look here. This is one of the nicest little Lavana points that I found all year. Just a perfect, what we might call up here a grade 10 example, made out of a green chert. All the corners, all the ears are there, and that was a really happy find. And when we got back that afternoon, I laid everything out. But I want you to see this again up close. Really one of my favorite little Lavana points that I found all year. Just seeing it in the water like that, it was a little jewel, a diamond, really. Sometimes we call them polished beauties. So that's pretty much it as a recap for some of the outings that we took that I hadn't posted on YouTube yet. But again, thanks everyone for listening. Get out there and hunt.